Well, next in a News Nation exclusive, we'd like to welcome former Top Chef contestant Lee Anne Wong. Her restaurant inside the oldest operating inn in Maui has been destroyed in these fires. So, Lee Anne, we know one of your employees currently is still unaccounted for. What has this been like for you and for your staff?
It is a lot. It's hard, and and a lot of people are very fortunate that this is a strong community, and everybody mobilized as right away, and WCK landed on the ground in the middle of the night last night. So I'm actually going to meet with local chefs to basically start relief efforts and feed all the people who have been displaced and our first responders and the evacuees. And right now, we have friends on the west side who are helping to show people out. They're slowly moving everybody off the west side to central Maui. Power lines and cell phones were down even before the brush fire started. And I think, we're just starting to learn of the horrible, horrible aftermath of, there's thousands of people unaccounted for, and our kapuna never made it out of Lahaina safely. The fire came down, and I have friends and employees who are like, it was on us in minutes, and they barely got out alive. And it's tragic because I think they're going to find a lot of people who didn't make it.
Oh, my goodness. Well, our hearts are with you. And thank you so much for hopping on this call. We know it's such a difficult time. Really appreciate the fact that you're jumping into help mode so early. How much of a warning did you get before these fires took over?
Nobody did. It's interesting because we have to deal with hurricane season every year and impact the island, but the winds are really what is it, from downing the power lines to starting the fire. We've been dealing with drought, obviously, for several years, and, it just took one down line to start the fire, and the winds were going 80 miles an hour, and so that's the fire. People didn't have a chance, and I was actually on Oahu yesterday morning, and we flew back to Maui. And as we flew over Lahaina, you could see it just end to end, like the town was just surrounded by black. And it was the most frightening, saddest thing I've ever seen. And, I think we're still in shock, and I haven't really had time to process everything with the restaurant. We're still trying to hunt down one of our employees. And so, the only thing we can do is just, take action and help as soon as we can. And I know some of my cooks are going to be joining me today to help feed those who have been displaced. And, that's all we have time to do is how can we help? How can we help our community get through this? So it is going to be I think the long-term effect economically and what this means for our community is going to be absolutely devastating. And we want to remind the public that this is a marathon, not a sprint. And I know everybody wants to donate and help whatever way we can, but this is going to be a very, very, very long recovery. So it's important that if you are going to donate, please, double check where you're putting your money. There are a lot of scam charities popping up right now on social media. A couple of good organizations to donate to would be MauiUnitedWay.org and, Hawaii Red Cross. But it's just, this is going to take a long time. An entire town, Lahaina was the heart of Maui, literally. And this is hundreds of businesses and homes have been destroyed. So we're still trying to pick up the pieces and sort through what happened. And so it's going to be a long road to recovery, and we appreciate the whole Maui community appreciates the outpouring of love and support from the rest of the world. It's amazing, but it's going to be a very, very long, hard road for all of us.
Well, I just think it's so incredible that you're jumping immediately into help mode in the midst of this chaos and destruction. Leanne, what is your biggest concern right now? Where is help needed the most?
Right now, people. I think it's again relief efforts are. We need. Basically, if people want to donate, they can fund. They can basically send their donations to MauiUnitedWay.org, and that money is going directly to on the ground relief efforts. They are working with grants to fund the nonprofits like WCK to come in and really work with our community groups to make sure that everybody is taken care of in the coming weeks and months. And again, it's kind of like it's going to be a very, very long road to recovery. And I think in the immediate sense, there are a lot of GoFundMes out there to support individuals and businesses who've lost their homes and employees and stuff like that. So it's people can go ahead and start donating there. I think right now, most immediately, we're looking for medical supplies, practical things. We have, the food. I think the food part's taken care of. Our whole community is mobilizing, and we're going to take care of feeding everybody. But what we really need are things like baby food, diapers. Like it's just, if you go on to Maui, if you follow at Maui Rapid Response, they are basically a citizen-based community, like emergency response team. I'm part of that response, and we're trying to coordinate all these efforts of support, so that way we don't have various groups, kind of like running over each other. And so we're just really trying to get everybody organized, the community organized, and they have all the information as well as lists of people who are missing, and I mean just everything. They're just trying to organize all the information so people can follow them, and that's also a good way to keep up with what's happening on the ground and seeing how people can help.
Well, and I think the essentials, that makes a lot of sense. Wildfire disasters like this aren't extremely common in Hawaii. How prepared or unprepared was the island? When you look at the scope, it's hard to think you could be prepared for something like this.
I mean, you never expect it, and I think that's it, is that, there are wildfires all over Maui throughout the year, brush fires, and that's obviously a nod to global warming and drought, but again, like this fire moved so fast, and like I have a suit, like thankfully it's raining up country right now, so hopefully that'll give some relief to our first responders and help put out the fires that are burning up country. But like, we have a bag packed, you know what I mean? Like I am squarely paranoid right now about like these fires, and it's just there's no way to be prepared, and unfortunately old Lahaina was just a matchbox waiting to happen. I mean, those are all old buildings. A lot of them hadn't been, spec'd out for modern times or fire prevention. I mean, they were all made of wood. And I think, what's not being talked about right now is the environmental disaster that is going to follow, just because all the boats in Lahaina Harbor in front of my hotel restaurant, those all burned and sank, which means there's fuel in the water. You are having mass explosions from breweries and restaurants along Front Street. So it's absolutely going to be so destructive to marine life. And a lot of those buildings were built over a century ago, and there's asbestos, there's lead in the air. There's just, again, I feel like Lahaina is still a little bit of a hazmat site right now. So that hasn't even been discussed. And, again, it's going to be a very, very long, hard road to recovery and cleanup.
And to your point, Leanne, we know Maui's economy depends heavily on tourists. How do you see this impacting the island moving forward?
We were hanging by a thread, honestly, before all this. The ramifications of it is just staggering because, post-COVID, we've been struggling with the tourism industry, especially on Maui, has been struggling from rising costs. And, basically when the pandemic happened, the real estate people came in, bought up real estate, and drove up the prices. So, like, locals can't afford to live here anymore. So we lost 14,000 hospitality workers after COVID. And, you know, the economics, I just did an article on it in Food and Wine, but, like, the economics of inflation and trying to keep staff or hire staff and pay them enough so they can afford to live and work here has just been crazy and just incredibly, incredibly difficult time after COVID. So Lahaina being the main tourist town in Maui, this is going to be absolutely devastating for Maui County. I can't even, like, when, it's everybody on the mainland who's experienced wildfires in Northern California community, like, I have no words, because I don't know how we will recover, but it's going to take time, and it's going to take a lot of effort from the people here on the ground and the people who want to reinvest and rebuild in Maui, So it's hard to say right now. I think our focus is just on figuring out how much damage was done.
Absolutely. When you look at these images, they are incredible. I certainly appreciate you hopping on the call, Leanne, in the midst of this chaos and bringing us a firsthand account and also some context to the struggles business owners have been facing since the pandemic and onward. Leanne Wong, thank you so much for your time. Our best to you.
Mahalo for talking. Thank you. And again, it's, thank you guys all for your support, and please, donate to MauiUnitedWay.org. Those funds will go directly to victims and on-the-ground relief efforts.
Thank you so much. We will continue to include their information in our reporting. Leanne, thank you again.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.